And away we go. Little something new this week. Listeners, nothing new for you. Just kidding. I guess there is something new. You're only going to be hearing my voice. Viewers, you're probably staring at the same image that will be there the whole time because we're doing an audio episode this week. And as I say we, I do mean I. But I'll get into that in a bit. First, let's go ahead and say the thing that you know you've been wanting to hear all week, which is welcome back to the Margins Podcast, where we talk about books, the ones that leave a mark, start a conversation, and stay with you long after the last page. I am your host today, Stranton, as always. And here, not next to me, is Cristiano. Where's Cristiano, you say? Have you guys had a spat? Did Flatland finally get in between you so much so? Did he spoil one book too many, or one show too many? Or did you just keep talking so much that Cristiano said, guys, I'm done with this guy? Who knows? We'll never. No, I'm just kidding. We'll know. Honest truth. Guys, it has been a rough couple weeks. And I guess rough makes it sound like it's only bad. No. Let's go half glass empty and half glass full. The empty, just exhaustion, But why is it full? Well, because the reason I'm exhausted is because I just wrapped a feature film as a lead role. How about that? Many of our listeners, our viewers, knew that this was coming up. For you all that are in the movie industry or anyone who knows anything about filming, we did 87 pages in 7 days. That is not easy. It was a full feature film shot in 7 days. And your boy had a ton of dialogue and stunts and lots of stuff. So, Cristiano was so kind to, it was a split schedule. So we did 4 days on, 4 days, or 4 days on, 3 days off, and then 3 days on. And Cristiano was kind enough to record an episode early, so that while I was away filming, we didn't have to worry about putting one up or getting together for it. And then we had the plan that when I came back, I'd have 24 hours, and the next night I would be able to record an episode, come by the office, our studio, and get it done. But in fact, I was unable to make it due to unforeseen circumstances. And so I told Cristiano, hey, this is on me. I mean, even currently as I'm recording this, he does not know that I'm doing this episode or the episode the way that I'm doing it. I'm pretty sure he's assuming that I'm going to cover the book that he and I were originally going to, but I don't think it's fair to him that he read, one, it's an awesome book. Spoiler, it's a Fredrik Backman book. Should I just tell? Yeah, I'll tell you. It's Anxious People. So if you want to read it before next week, I highly recommend it. I will say this next week again, but Angelina Jolie is attached to the film that they are making of this. But anyway, that I'm getting ahead of myself. Cristiano was kind enough to, give me an out that night and say, nah, do you take care of it? So yeah, that's why we are here. That is why it is going down this way. So I hope I can keep you entertained. I hope I can keep the mood. And as I say that, it just like falls apart. Like even in my head, I was just like, oh, all right, they're going to hate this. No, but let's go ahead and get you guys into this episode. I already told you how I'm doing, how things are rolling. For me, a book does not always change your life because it contains a perfect message. Sometimes a book becomes important because of when you read it. A book finds you during childhood, loneliness, grief, ambition, confusion, a period when you're trying to understand yourself. Had you found the same book 5 years earlier or 5 years later, the experience might have been completely different. So the question of this episode is, why do certain books become permanent markers in our lives while others slowly disappear from memory? Why is that? There have been plenty of books that when I read it, when I finished it, I was like, best book ever. And I can tell you this day that I wouldn't be able to tell you the plot at all. I think intention has to do with that. Cristiano and I have talked about this in the past where, if you're chasing a number when it comes to books, or if you're burning through books and not like absorbing, but just either reading or listening or however you consume, it's more about finishing it than it is about enjoying it. People, what have we learned? Nothing. Take your time. Come on now. Foreplay is important when it comes to books and all things. I'll leave that to you is what I'm going to say. That's all I'll say. Just focus on the meaning of all these books, the themes, how it's affecting you. Yeah. So that's what today's episode is going to be. I wanted to go ahead and make a quick list of some books that have inspired me, have moved me, have been foundational in the sense of my likes, my dislikes, what has steered me one way or another. I have had some help. I had a few of you that have read these specific books come up with some questions for me, as well as some prompts that I have not seen yet about each book that I listed. And I do appreciate y'all for helping me out there. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into some of this. As far as the list goes, it wasn't like the easiest to make because some I'm more precious than others, and others I was like, why do I love this book? What am I going to share with, our listeners, our viewers about these books? I could go on a whole tangent about, the more recent books that are super important to me, that I love, that I can't wait till more come out. And I know it's like beating you over the head if we talk about the same books over and over, like Red Rising, Dungeon Crawler Carl, Patrick Rothfuss, who seems to be in our episode every week. If I do that, then I feel like it's just, gonna be me fanning out on these authors, which I'm okay with at all times. But today's episode, I did want to do more so, as I said in the previous segment, talk about the ones that have helped shape me. So while I was making this list, I took the time to be like, oh, different ages I was at, different levels of life, friendships, relationships. Still, only relationship that I've ever had is with Rachel. Obviously, guys, don't at me. We won't talk about anything else, okay? So don't even try. Some of the choices that I made did surprise me. Like, it wasn't clear cut what I wanted to do. And then not all are like favorites. It's not like I'm like, oh, read this. There was a phase in my life where I thought that if I read a book, I felt like it was good. It's for everyone. I have learned since that not every book is for everyone, and that, I know that sounds plain and simple, but you learn really quickly when you recommend a book that you full-heartedly love and you hand it to someone. And Dante, I'm talking to you, not about me, but what was it? Liza Locklamora with Chris? I get that. I completely understand it. I actually enjoyed Liza Locklamore, but you all know I didn't enjoy Flatland. And there've been plenty that Cristiano's read that I've recommended. He's been like, "What is wrong with you? Who hurt you?" And guys, that list is even longer than this book one, so I won't put you through that. I do associate these books with specific periods of time, people that I knew and was close to at the time, places, memories. And I guess I feel like these books are going to be letting you in a little bit more on who I am as a person, as a friend, as a father, as another person on this rock spiraling through space. Don't think about it too long. I know existential crisis is real. One of those things I cannot think about. This is not a traditional book review or rank list. There's no ranking. This is not 1 through 10 of like favorites or anything. This is just, again, a list of books that I feel like influenced me. And this book will ever change. I'm sure that if I do this list a year from now, some won't be on there. We'll probably see some new faces. But I'm going to go ahead and move through the 10 books and talk about 3 things. Who I was when I read the book, what the book gave me during that period, and what the book means to me now. I will not cover every detail or summarize every plot. Y'all don't need that. But I do highly recommend checking some of these books out. The ones that, as I talk about, interest you. But again, I'm not going to tell you that you're going to love all of them, as I've been told about some of the books that I've recommended in the past. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first book that I wanted to mention was one that we've actually covered on the pod, which is The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho. I have referenced this book many, many a time. It is my most gifted book. I definitely have handed out in the double digits. This book, I typically will try to find secondhand editions. And as soon as someone says they haven't read it, and it's someone I know, that book is no longer mine. It's theirs. It's just something that I heard about. I guess the first time I heard about it, I think I said it in the episode, was Will Smith was doing an interview and he just talked about his personal legend, which is the biggest part of what the story, the story is about purpose. It's about personal calling and the decision to pursue the life that you believe belongs to you, come what may, following the omens. We follow young Santiago through this dreamscape of an adventure, and you watch him make these decisions, and it is so applicable to our own lives. I think the first time I read it was in my early 20s. I saw that interview. It's an older interview. I would want to say it's like the early 2000s that Will Smith was being interviewed, and he brought this book up. I think he's been trying to make it into a movie ever since, but I'm not sure where that landed. During that time, I think I was searching for my own, as we all do, our own path, or what we're going to be doing. I hadn't confessed or spoken into the universe that acting was what I wanted to do. I still was trying to fit inside the mold, still trying to figure out, but I knew I couldn't commit to a major in college. I did my general eds, and then I was like, I'm not going to get tied down before I know what the passion is. And I'm not saying that that's the right choice, but it was just what my choice was. I knew that a lot of people would make, they go for that. And again, not the wrong choice, but I've seen too many story where, oh, well, I'm doing this, might as well keep doing it. And what's important about that too is that as you mature and everything, your passion doesn't have to be what you're doing. It doesn't have to be the work. The work can be a means to end, so I applaud those that work a job that they don't love, because what they do love is paid by that job, or it gives them the freedom to spend time with those that they want to spend time with. So I love that in The Alchemist. It reveals that every you just have to really follow the omens. So everyone typically will. One of my favorite things is, like, a lot of people will see a good opportunity or a chance of luck as that itself, that it's just luck, and then they'll let it lie instead of pursuing it further. So something good happens to you, and you're like, well, I guess that was a one-time thing. I'll take it for what it is, and I'll walk away. When in the book it says that you should follow the good omens and continue pursuing that feeling, continue pursuing the opportunities that arose. So yeah, it's just one of those books that truly, when I'm in my head about what direction I'm going, or if this, dream of being on the silver screen, or any of the other ones that I've had, is worth uh, the the struggle, the stress, all the things. It is a book that I return to because it just reminds me that it's not the end, you know. There's still time. So, do I believe in, like, as many of you know, I'm not religious. I was for most of my life. But I do believe in I believe in the law of attraction. I believe in energy in the sense of, and not like woo woo, but just in the sense of what you put your energy in, what you put your effort in, it will be like, it is what it is. So like, if you think it'll be bad, it'll be bad. If you think it'll be good, it'll be, it's what you put forward in the universe, you'll get in return. Um, yeah. So that's book number one, The Alchemist. Book number two. Here's one that I could tell you. I know almost. I remember bits and pieces. I was about to say bases, bits and pieces. And it's not so much. It's both what the book did to me, and I guess the experiment, the social experiment that occurred when I read a specific part. And the book is Where the Red Fern Grows by Wilson Rawls. A childhood story about love, loyalty, sacrifice, and experiencing loss before you feel ready for it. You guys know these two dogs. One gets sick, the other one dies right next. It's the whole thing. It's a spoiler. Guess what? Yeah, I did spoil it. You should have read it in 5th grade. Emotional. You can't just, you can't do anything to dogs in movies. You shouldn't do them in books either. But I read this in 5th grade, and I was never a big reader. I enjoyed stories, but maybe because of my dyslexia, I was just never pulled towards books. Christiana and I have joked about AR reading, or, Spark Notes, and all of that. Me thinking, oh, I'll just choose Mary Poppins the book because I could just watch the movie, and finding out that, guess what? There's no animated sequence in the book. When I went to go take that AR test and nothing was popping up about any of the movie, I knew I was screwed. I knew I was screwed. But yeah, like I said, 5th grade, we are sitting around we're sitting on the floor in Mr. Zajak's class. I think we're doing popcorn reading, which I loathe to this day. For all the reasons you can assume. And it got to the point in the book where we see these poor dogs go, yonder past this life. And your boy was bawling. I just remember sniffling, starting with sniffles and then just really letting the tears drop. And I'm just looking around, and I'm like, not everyone's being touched by this. And it was the reason I bring this book up is, one, because it was an early indicator to me. I was like, oh man, you're an emotional ass dude. You better get, like, not, I guess, and honestly, I guess, yeah, I wanted to check myself on that because I was worried about being too vulnerable or looking a certain way, especially because we're talking about early 2000s. No, late. I mean, we're talking 1999 or 2000, which is crazy because I'm obviously Gen Z, right? You guys wouldn't say anything else, right? Right? Anyway, but from that point forward, it's just one of those books that I think back fondly because it was the first time that I think a story touched me, where I was moved by these characters, by these people, by these dogs that I did not know. I just read about, and it was something that, like, sparked in my mind, like, oh wow, there might be some value to this written word stuff. I mean, did it also give me existential crisis about understanding death and grief? I'm still dealing with that. Listen to past episodes. Obviously, I talk about that. Your boy still does not know how to feel about all of this. But of all those books that I read during that time, that is the one that sticks out the most. That and probably Shel Silverstein, any of his Where the Sidewalk Ends and all that. Let's see. The prompt that was given to me in this is this book important because of the story itself or because of the younger version of me who experienced loss? I would say the latter. I would say the latter. It was more the experience. Obviously, the story is what caused it, but like I said, I can't tell you word for word what happened. I couldn't give you a fair synopsis. So, yeah, I would say again, it's one of those times where it was like I was very much right time, right place, and for that reason, emotionally moved. All right, book number 3. This one came to me in a book club, which is a wild thing. Not that I got a book in a book club, because that's how book clubs work. But specifically because someone did a no-no in a book club, which is you recommended a book that was in a series. And I've said this in previous episodes, but there's a special place for hell for those that bring in books that are part of a series. Because I can't say no to the rest of the series. I have to finish it. It's been harder to do that recently because we're doing, new books every week. But I was part of a book that we called The Finer Things. Yeah, we stole it from The Office. And my friend Spencer recommended the book, or brought in the book, The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan, which is book 1 of the Wheel of Time fantasy series. It's the beginning of an enormous fantasy journey where ordinary people leave home and slowly learn that their lives hold greater meaning. I will tell you that it is 14 books. The smallest book, I want to say, if you did audiobooks, I want to say it might be Eye of the World. It could be 26 hours. I might be lying on that. But they all average somewhere around 30. 14 books. Wild. It was important to me because love fantasy shows, love movies and everything, but this was like the first high fantasy epic that I committed to. I did Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. I read more of those books of that series, but I didn't commit to it. This book, I was with Rand, I was with Matt, I was with Perrin, Egwene, all of them. And I do love this series. It's one that I want to return to, and I can't wait for my kiddo to, get to the reading age and be able to check this book out. Probably a little bit later, because Robert Jordan loved saying how women's blouse, or their how did he word it? I will say he did in this book. The points I will give to him, they might have just like canceled each other out, but obviously the most powerful people in the book, apart from Rand, are the Aes Sedai, who are all women. So I do love that. But he also always commented on what the women were wearing or how low cut the shirt was. And I'm like, my guy, come on. Come on. It's not as bad as like, you know, a lot of these anime, the old creepy grandpa character that's always checking out women or anything, Jiraiya, Roshi, all of them, but still. Anyway, I love this journey. The reason the book is important to me is because it was one of the first fantasies that I committed to, and it opened my eyes to, Sanderson, who finished the series, because sadly Robert Jordan passed before he could finish the last book, and his estate, his wife, had already reached out to Sanderson, I believe, with Robert Jordan prior to his death, maybe not, but they had already spoken about that, and Sanderson took over. And as you know, or as you may not know, Brandon Sanderson is the writer of the ages right now, of this age, where he has so many great series. He has the Cosmere, which includes like Mistborn, which was the next series I went into, and then slowly after, Red Rising, and all these other epic fantasies, and it really made me realize how much I enjoy fantasy and world building. And also, we've talked about this before, how it was Jordan came after Tolkien, obviously. And then you have Sanderson after Jordan, and now you have Pierce during/after Sanderson, because Pierce is obviously younger. And I just feel like as the time goes on, as the wheel as the wheel spins, um, or as the wheel turns, we have these authors learn more and more about how to cut the fat, how to get to what we love, how to avoid the pitfalls of too much world building or not enough, or character depth, or tropes that we are done with. Just hang it up. Yeah. Did the series become a place I returned to during different periods of my life? Not yet. Not yet. I did get to experience it again when it became a TV series. Unfortunately, it only made it 3 seasons when I really felt like it was getting its stride right. But Prime, unfortunately, I think was sinking too much money into Rings of Power. And for that reason, it did not make it. So next up we have, this one is not fantasy. Unfortunately, it's real. And it is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. It's a reflection of suffering, responsibility, purpose, and the human need to find meaning during painful circumstances. Um, yeah, this book is about Viktor being in or during the Holocaust, surviving the Holocaust, and the choices he made during that time to I can't understate this. I don't want to understate this, I mean, because I could say, oh, how to keep a positive mind, how to keep the glass half full, how to the the immense gratitude I have for this book. I will never I hope, pray that I never experience anything. I can't imagine ever experiencing anything remotely close, even if you like, oh, all things are relevant. No, what this man has gone through and those like him, unfathomable. And for that reason, I appreciate so much what he preached afterwards. You know, his experience affects daily how I look at my own. And it's not, oh, well, he went through this, so obviously I have to be grateful. Or his plight was so much stronger than my, like, I'd have no room to talk. Those are obvious things, and I get that, but I don't think that's where, like, all things are relevant. That's where it comes into play, but it's more so, what tools did he leave behind to help me apply those same thoughts to my obstacle or my struggle. Um, and for that, I'm forever grateful. When I'm in any type of hardship, difficult period, feeling uncomfortable about something, it is a quick read. It is a heavy read, but it is one that I return to get my bearings again, to think positively no matter what I may be going through. The prompt that came along with it is, did this book change change what I expected from life, or did it change what I expected for myself? I think more so, I think both. Let's say both. I, uh, yeah, I think, Cristiano brought this up. Universe does not care. It is just it is un, unchanging. I'm blanking on how we always say it, but yeah, there's nothing about it that, you can throw whatever you want towards it, and it doesn't mean that anything's gonna change. But what can change is your perspective and how you handle it. So that's just, one of those books. Don't want to become too preachy about it, but it's one of the ones that I return to whenever I'm having a tough time. This one, I know that the guys from my book club, Worked Up Book Club, they've said before, they will give me crap to the end. This was the first book I brought to the book club, which is probably not the best. Well, for me, it's the best one. Prior to having Max, we've talked about this on the pod too, but The Boy Who Was Raised as a Dog by Bruce Perry. It is a collection of clinical stories examining how childhood drama affects the brain, development, trust, relationships, and behavior. My wife, Rachel, is the one that recommended, well, not recommended, but she told me how much she admired this book, how much she was moved by this book. She never falsified anything by saying, this is such a good book, by like, you're going to feel warm and fuzzy. Not the case. Almost immediately you feel sick to your stomach because of how the different cases in this book about the different children and what they go through. They're all true. You obviously not their real names, but Bruce, the author, was at so many huge historical events or things surrounding it. For example, he was at Waco and he worked directly with the children at the compound during negotiations and after. So he was literally at the front lines, while these kids were worrying about their parents having to deal with the consequences of what was going on. And also there's very isolated events that happen in this book too, where your heart will break tenfold. And at the time, before we had Max, before we had my baby boy, I told the guys, I read this book like once a year. And I did. I used to read it all the time. From the time that I read it the first time to the last time, I was doing it, annually. I can tell you now, I've not read it since we covered it in that book club, because we had Max shortly after, and reading that book again and now having my own child's image in my mind breaks my heart even further. And that is me on a commercial, that is me on anything that has to do with a child. It's so easy to slip in and be like, well, what if that happened to Max? What happened? What if, this, happened? Yeah, it's just. So this is the book that I was referencing before, where I said, hey, not all books are for everyone. There are so many trigger warnings that I would throw at you if you were like, should I read this? So many things I would tell you to read all the trigger warnings, look up what you might be getting into, and to mentally and emotionally prepare for it. But because of this book, I do very much treasure, and I feel like I've become more understanding of not obviously my child, but others' children as well. It's really easy to go and be like, man, that kid's like jacked up on sugar, or man, that kid's annoying, or man, that kid doesn't know how to handle themselves. And this book will make you take a step back and be like, I wonder what's happening with them, or what caused this. And for some of you, if you roll in your eyes or just know that this book really opens your eyes to the fact that the small things matter when they're younger. Not that you need to overthink those things, but any type of obviously atrocities or traumas that are inflicted on a child, when so many of us are like, they won't remember. They will. If it's impactful enough, they will, and it's whether they remember it well or not. Let's hope to God that they don't. But this book has made me be grounded in the moments that, frustration or me questioning someone as a parent or a guardian. I'm just like, you know what, you gotta have a little bit more compassion for both the child and for the parent. You just don't know, because some parents are dealing with trauma that other kids have been, that other adults had put on their child or their relative or whatever it may be. And yeah, it's not for the faint of heart. I will tell you that. How much of who we become begins with whether we feel safe, seen, and supported while growing up? Christiana and I have had many talks about this, and I'll let you guys answer that. If you I'd love to hear your answer. I, as you can tell, feel like it is instrumental, whether it's for plus or negative, it's gonna affect who you become. And it lacking or the support not being there doesn't mean that you are screwed. It doesn't mean that you won't, raise yourself up or become this great person or have great accolades. Not the case at all. But I do feel like there's a better road where you could have achieved those things and felt the support. And I wish you would have had it, is what my message would be. So yeah, I would say let's get into something that's a little bit more lighthearted, but actually it's a thriller. It's Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. This is one of my favorite movies, and then come to find out, one of my favorite books. The book is so good that there is a twist in the movie that I'd seen. I'd seen the movie easily 5 times when I went to go read the book. And the twist was so good that I forgot about the twist and was sucked in by the reading. And it is one of those books, one of the few times where the book and the movie they translate perfectly. So I got fooled even though I knew what was coming, and it is that good. It's a psychological thriller about marriage, resentment, manipulation, public image, and the identities people perform for one another. Something similar to, like Strangers that we read a couple weeks ago, or Dear Debbie. That very much I said was in the same vein, or it felt like it was in the same vein, could be, but a little more lighthearted than Gone Girl. It is, yeah, I think, did I read this? I can't remember if I read this before or after being married. Yeah, it will make you question who you trust and how you trust. And also who your own insecurities or the tendencies you have to perform, as I said earlier, the mask you wear, who you wear it around, why you wear it. Very, I love this book. I love the movie. I put it on the list just because I felt like it was one of the books that gave me faith in books being adapted into screenplays and made into movies. Because obviously in my life, that is something now that I'm, reading these books left and right. I'd love to make so many of them into film or miniseries. And yeah, I just love this book so much. Let's do a little bit of rapid fire on these next couple. There's 2 that I wanted to mention, and I feel like those that have read them are on 2 opposite sides of the spectrum, or maybe they're on the same and they just also have a pretty open, I want to say open mind because that sounds like I'm being condescending to those that wouldn't, but have a wide palette as far as what they can handle, what they can't. These books are the only ones that I'll mention that are, I guess you would definitely throw into like self-help. We don't cover self-help where we haven't covered any self-help on the podcast. But these are ones that I will tell you why they are instrumental. The first one is Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. It's a book about choosing where to place your emotional energy, accepting discomfort, and deciding which problems deserve your attention. The title is misleading because you think that it's like, oh, this is how to be real chill and not worry about a thing. Not the case. The idea is, one of the ideas is, the takeaways that I did was that it's not about not caring. It's about caring so much about one thing that the rest it doesn't factor into or doesn't affect the outcome of you wanting to achieve the thing that you care about. I just want to read a quick excerpt of this, because here's the thing that's wrong with all the how to be happy shit that's been shared by 8 million or about 8 million times in Facebook over the past few years. Everybody, here's the part that I love. Here's what nobody realizes about this crap. The desire of more positive experience is itself a negative experience. And paradoxically, the acceptance of one's negative experience is itself a positive experience. That's a total mindfuck. I'll give you a minute to unpretzel your brain and maybe read that again. Wanting positive experience in a negative experience is a negative experience. Accepting negative experience is a positive experience. It's what the philosopher Alan Watts used to refer to as the backwards law, the idea that the more you pursue feeling better all the time, the less satisfied you become, as pursuing something only refuses or reinforces the fact that you lack it in the first place. I read this at a time that I was still in that stage of like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And one of the excerpts of it had to do with Mark talks about how when he was in high school, he wanted to get a guitar, and he made this plan that, I'm going to have this summer job. I'm going to save up for this guitar. I'm going to get the guitar. I'm going to get lessons. I'm going to get really good. I'm going to get in a band. And then my dream is to become a rock star. And he said he did everything up to the point of buying the guitar, taking the lessons. And then he realized after playing for a while that it wasn't really the pursuit that he wanted. It wasn't his personal legend. It wasn't sparking passion or anything. And that's okay. If you would put that into a movie or a quick TikTok video, it would probably be a tragedy. But realistically, you need to turn over every stone. You need to figure out, itch the scratch that's been there this whole time. And that's why I read this book and was like, you know what, I've wanted to do acting so often. And I went to Rachel right after and was like, hey, I was thinking about acting. And she's like, you should do a class. You should go check it out. See if it's what you actually want to do. And thanks to that, we're now living in LA, and we're, living the life of luxury, obviously, because I'm in the next Marvel. No, but we're in it, and I couldn't be happier with the pursuit, So yeah, that was one book. Now on the other side of that, and for those that want to play along with this, is Untamed by Glennon Doyle. I absolutely adore Glennon Doyle. I had the privilege of meeting her in person. Her and her partner Abby. Abby is, of course, played for Team USA soccer. She is fantastic. They are fantastic people. And I ran into them while I was in Los Feliz one night and took a photo with them, and just was able to tell them how important this book was to me. It just talks about how everything that you believe, it's a book about identity, about self-trust, family expectations, boundaries, and listening to that voice underneath all the social pressure. It's a book that taught me about boundaries, or helped reinforce boundaries when I needed them the most. I come from a really loving family, very supportive, and so nothing towards them. We were raised very religious. Some of them still are. And I ventured away from that, and at the time was feeling a very certain way about, I guess that certain way was vulnerable, worried, about being accepted, being loved the same way. And this book, she talks about, her coming out as a queer person, finding her, leaving a marriage where she has children, and not saying that she just went out for milk and never came back. Nothing like that. It wasn't that type of situation. But having to reevaluate her life, her thoughts, her beliefs around a key foundational part of herself that she had put so much of her identity around, which I very much identify with, as someone who was raised, Mormon church, LDS, however you want to call it. There's a whole plan. There's a whole way of life that is connected to that, which I've shared on the podcast before. And if you ever have questions, come at me, in a good way. I mean, I'm not saying come at me, bro, like that, but would love to answer those. But what this book did for me, so I don't go on a tangent there, was one of my favorite chapters was called, or is called Islands. And it just talks about how you have to protect yours. You have to protect, whether that be your personal well-being, your partner, you and your partners, or you and your families. I think about that now with raising Max. If you have other beliefs, it's not like I'm going to shut you out of my life. But if you choose to proselyte or pass judgment openly and overtly, to anyone in my family or to me or to my child, the bridge is coming up and you're not crossing over and you're not going to be welcome. That's just how it has to be. And I respect those that put that boundary down and have the conversations that need to be had, in order to continue or discontinue relationships, whether that be friendships, relationships, family, friend, whatever it may be. That was there's so many things in this book that I love, and this is probably the second book that I've gifted the most. Shared it with family members, both siblings and cousins and friends, and I very much adore Glennon Doyle and the message that she shared. Again, not for everyone. I've also had people that have read it and they're like, oh, that was good. Or, I think one of my sisters was just like, yeah, that's obvious, which some people need it broken down, other people don't, I guess. But there's no wrong way to go about it. Lastly, My Friends by Fredrik Backman. You knew a Backman book was going to be on here. It's a story about art, memory, grief, friends that shape us long after we've shared, it's a period of time in our lives. We covered this book on the podcast, so I highly recommend going back to that episode. It is by far, I think it was my favorite book of 2025. Fredrik Backman, I've said already, is my favorite author. He speaks to my soul. There's no other way to say it. I was sharing this with a buddy the other night. I feel like kindred spirits with his writing. I don't know if he and I would hit it off in person. I definitely would want to give him his roses, his flowers for the impact he's had in my life. I'd love for so many of his works to become film or plays. I just would love for everyone to be able to experience this. And I get, again, that it's not going to be for everyone. But if he is one of your favorite authors, if this book has, or any of his other ones, Beartown, Anxious People, whatever it may be, speaks to you the way it spoke to me, guys, we got to be friends. We got to be friends because it means you are emotionally damaged. No, just kidding. Why do some people remain central in our story long after they leave our daily lives? Is the question or the prompt that came with this book. There's so many of those like quotes that you hear, like, oh, this person isn't meant for your life story. It's just this chapter, or, their impact, whatever it may be. All those are true. Their impact may be so strong, may leave such a dent, but their time with you may be vastly, just so much smaller than someone who's with you your whole life and doesn't shape you. I think about my grandmother, my nana on my dad's side, his mother. To this day, I think about often. We have her photo hanging up in Max's room. She was just someone from a very young age that I felt her love always, and was never questioned it, and just knew that Nana was like the sweetest being on earth, and only to be confirmed as I get older and hear more stories about her plight and what she went through, and yet had the spirit that she had and overcame what she had to on a day-to-day basis. And I know that's true about a lot of my, friends as well. About family members, about all this. So this book is just me. I think it's a me it's a me book. It's one of the things I love most, apart from my immediate family of, my Rachel, my Max. Friends who are family that are friends are my currency. Not what I like to spend, not what I like to collect, but just what's of value in my life. So anyway, guys, I was going to make this episode like 30 minutes. We're already at 50. Oh my gosh. Rapid questions. Okay. Rapid five hard questions. Which book found me in the most important moment of my life? Ooh, what is the most important moment of my life? Ooh. So far, my son. Man, of these books, so many of them are going to help me shape Max's life and keep me in check with Rachel, in the sense of like, do better. Impossible not choosing a favorite. All of them will impact me. What let's go. Question 2. Why are these broken up this way? Which book shaped me in a way I no longer fully agree with? Oh, of these books? Oh, some Solar I'm Not Giving a Fuck. That's one that I like. I don't recommend to others. I'll recommend a segment, and that's nothing against Mark Manson. Like, it's just not. I'm not a big self-help book person anymore. So if I had to choose books from this list, it would be that one. Obviously Glennon's is not just that for me. It's very much more so a memoir than it is a self-help for me. So that's why I choose to keep that one on the list. And Solar can go bye-bye. Which book revealed something about me before I understood it in myself? Ooh. If it had to be before, I guess we'll go with Where the Red Fern Grows, because at the time I didn't realize how emotionally inept I was. I probably said that. No, inept is the other way. Sorry. In touch I was with my emotions, to the point where I needed to, maybe dial it down a little bit. And that's not me judging me, but like, oof. I said I saw other people crying. I also got, some of my boys afterwards like, dude, why are you crying in there? It's like, it's emotional. Okay, get off my back. Which book would I give to the younger version of myself? Ooh, Mr. Macy. So many good ones in there, but younger me, he has to be ready for it. He'd have to be ready for it. You know what? I would give him Eye of the World. I'd give him Wheel of Time. I know I said the whole low cut shirt thing, but I wish I would have gotten into fantasy books sooner. And that was such a great epic that I would have loved for his little brain to explode and experience world building that young. And last one, which book best represents the person I am now? I would hope The Accumulation of Them All. Yeah, I would hope them all. I was gonna say my friends, but then I also would love it for it to be Viktor Frankl. But then keeping in mind the lessons I learned with a boy that was raised like a dog. So many of the books are great. Guys, I don't want to do any more questions because I feel like I'm already overdoing it with you. I was gonna make this episode like 20 to 30 minutes, and we are at, gosh, too long is what I'll say. Too long. I also moved my mic, which I wasn't supposed to do. I still have to edit this, and we'll see how it comes out. I apologize for all of you who were like, well, actually, if you didn't stick around, I'm not going to apologize to you. But if you made it to the end and you still are unhappy, kudos to you for sticking around that long. What I would recommend is DNFing in real life, which is don't finish it. Don't finish the episode if you don't like it. But if you liked it and you want more, I'm not doing it like this anymore. This is I won't say one-time thing, because if I have to do it again, I don't want to be embarrassed. But yeah, if you stuck around, appreciate it. Our all-time listeners, I hope you did. I'm talking to you, Dante. I'm talking to you, John. I'm talking to you, Mom. Yeah. Cristiano, I don't know if you even listened to this episode. It'd be really cool if you did, but also, you got a lot going on, my guy. So, maybe not. All that to say, guys, come next week. We're going to be doing Anxious People by Fredrik Backman, my man, my boy, my favorite author. And we will be doing all your favorite things like the Margins Bulletin, which I was going to do today, but was going to keep this episode so much shorter, and I haven't. Sorry, I'm a liar. It happens, guys. It happens. Thank you for all your support. Please like and subscribe, share, check out our other episodes where you actually get to see our faces. If you prefer it this way, don't tell me because that hurts my feelings. And yeah, I think that's it. So we'll see you next week. Bye.
Hold up. Yeah.